Hello to everyone who is joining the open house, the virtual open house from SIM today. My name is Dr. Kevin McKelvey, and I am the resident director of the University at Buffalo undergraduate program that we have here at SIM. If you will just give me one moment, I am going to share my screen so we can show the slides for today's show. Okay, so there we are. So yes, welcome to everyone who has joined our program today from Singapore, as well as from any other places around this region or the world. One of the nice things about having virtual orientations is, of course, that they can be seen by anyone, anywhere. And of course, we'll also be very happy when we can have in-person open houses back at our lovely campus on Clementi Road in Singapore. But as for today, we have a program for you as follows, which will consist of a briefing by me. I will start the program by telling about our different programs and our partner institutions. We then have one of our recent graduates, an alumnus of our institution, who is also going to share about his experiences with the program. And then at the end, we will have time for questions and answers, questions from the audience to be answered by ourselves, my guest and I. My guest today is Firdaus. He is a recent graduate, as I mentioned. He was a sociology major and is currently working, as I understand, actually for the Singapore police force. So it will be quite interesting to hear about his experiences later on. And then we also have several of our staff members who are manning the live chat. These are Ms. Haley King, Assistant Director of our program, Ms. Katie Fassbinder, Assistant Resident Director. Katie and I are both from Buffalo, New York, and stay here in Singapore to run the program. And Ms. Lena Chia, who is the manager of our program. So they can answer questions in real time during this actual program. We also have 3 students, Russell, Allen, and Darwisi, who are representing our student body and answering questions simultaneously as well. As for my briefing, I'll talk about these topics in turn, one after the other. We'll start with the University of Buffalo, the State University of New York, our institution, home institution in the United States. I'll then talk a little bit in more general terms about American higher education, what are the characteristics of it, what you would be experiencing if you join our program here, and then some specific details about the programs that we offer at SIM. What are the programs we offer, how are you admitted to the programs, and the various things about course fees. And we'll conclude with highlights of our program that hopefully will encourage you to apply to and join our program in one of our upcoming intakes. So we'll start with this. We'll start with some background information about the University at Buffalo, the State University of New York. Please note that it is a public institution. We are affiliated with the state of New York in the United States of America. So even though we are part of the private sector here in Singapore, we are most definitely a public institution back in the United States. And in fact, we are part of a very huge public system of education called the State University of New York system, which consists of 64 different campuses throughout the state of New York. And they range from very large research universities to small community colleges. Those are things that are rather similar to polytechnics, and comprehensive master's degree and teacher training institutions, specialized institutions. There are many different types of institutions within the system, but it is a huge system with about 250,000 students and spread across these 64 campuses. Out of the 64 campuses, University at Buffalo is the largest one. It is the largest research university. It has the largest number of degree programs. It has the largest research budget, the largest faculty. All of the things that you could measure, UB is the biggest within this system. So we are considered to be the flagship of the State University of New York system. If you're considering enrolling in any American university, you should always consider its accreditation. And we are accredited by what's known as Middle States Commission on Higher Education. In the United States, there is no national accrediting commission. The accrediting commissions are regional because the United States is so huge. And we are located in the Middle Atlantic region, therefore our accreditation comes from Middle States. Any institution you are looking at, you should make sure it has the appropriate regional accreditation, because if it does not, it could mean you may not be eligible for graduate studies later on. Certain types of employment, you may be restricted if it's not from an accredited, recognized university. So we are also accredited for our business program by AACSB. That is the highest level of accreditation that a school of business or management can get. And we are an elected member of the Association of American Universities, or AAU. This is a group of the top research universities in the United States and Canada, which you simply cannot join. You have to be elected in by the existing members. So the charter members of this organization were places like Harvard, Yale, Princeton, Stanford, MIT, Northwestern. All of the finest research institutions have invited us to join within their company in this extremely prestigious group of the best research universities in the United States and Canada. So we're very proud of that accomplishment. Our rankings are shown here, since we know people love rankings so much. So we are the #1 public university within the state of New York. New York also has such private universities as Cornell and Columbia, Syracuse, Rochester. But of the public universities within the state of New York, we are ranked #1. A best national university. We're in the top 40 of public universities in the United States. And one thing that I personally am very, very proud of is our international orientation. Our campus is one of the most internationalized campuses within North America, with top 25 institutions in terms of international student enrollment. And we have been that way for many, many, many years. So we have many thousands of international students studying at our home campus from all over the world. And we are very proud to include our Singapore program amongst our portfolio of international programs as well. The university at Buffalo is a very large research university, as I mentioned. It has over 30,000 students, and the numbers you can see here, over 2,500 faculty members, all of these different degree programs, over 125 undergraduate degree programs, everything up to doctoral programs. So it is a comprehensive research university, and it has been around for a long time, since 1846. It was founded actually as a private university, but later became part of the SUNY system, State University of New York, in the year 1962, and has been a member since. You can find more information. You can see a link at the bottom, but if you were to go to www.buffalo.edu, you can find very detailed information about UB and its history and all of the different programs that are offered at our campus in Buffalo, New York, USA. Last point, we have a huge number of alumni all around the world in over 150 different countries, over 250,000 alumni as well. So to turn now to the topic of American higher education, I think it's one of the things that draws students to our program, and they come to enjoy about studying in UB at SIM, especially the very interactive nature of the instruction that we offer. So some programs are more oriented towards lectures and exams. We are not like that at all. Our program is designed very specifically to engage the students very actively. There's a lot of participation. There's a lot of project work. Students do a lot of presentations. In short, they are very, very actively engaged within the process of their own learning. And that is not a coincidence. We do that because we feel that this is the best way for us to achieve very, very good learning outcomes, by people doing things actively rather than simply participating in some very passive form. So it's also very interdisciplinary. We like our students to be able to see across the traditional interdisciplinary disciplinary boundaries. And so students have opportunities to take double majors and double degrees. I'll come to that in a minute. The professors here are very much committed to helping our students become independent learners so that they can continue to acquire new knowledge and skills after they have graduated, because we live in a world where every day there are new discoveries, new developments, and so on. So becoming an independent learner is very, very important. So merely memorizing things is not really highly valued. What we are much more interested in is the student's ability to take concepts, known facts and knowledge, and be able to apply them to the kinds of novel situations that people encounter in their work every single day. And it's a very, very tight-knit community here. We make our classes very comfortable for our students so that they can participate actively. And we recognize that that's a bit of a challenge at first for students who come from a background where the education does tend to be more passive and lecture-oriented, that we put a lot of emphasis on creating a very comfortable environment within the classroom. And lastly, a liberal arts orientation. We are a research university, but at the core of research is, the ability to raise questions and find the answers to them. And that's really what a liberal arts education is all about. And I think that's what people enjoy when they join our program here at SIM, the University of Buffalo undergraduate program. The types of courses that students will take are divided into these various categories. So when you are admitted and you start out the program, you're admitted into a major. It could be business administration, sociology, communication, psychology, what have you. And you'll have a set of courses that are the foundational or prerequisite modules for that particular major. Com 101, Psychology 101, Communication 101, the 101 level courses, in addition to, depending on the department, some form of statistics class and typically a research methods class and maybe some others as well. Once the student has finished those courses, they can then take the upper level courses within that major. All students also take a set of courses which are known as UBC, the UB curriculum. This is the general education component that is typical of all American universities, really, where we want our students to be very well-rounded and not overly specialized in one very narrow area. So all of our students are also required to take, regardless of their major, a course in the arts, a course in the humanities, a course in the natural sciences, the social sciences, and so on, so that they will wind up graduating as very well-rounded students who then have a foundation for moving on to more specialized studies at the graduate level if they so choose. Finally, students get to choose free electives to round out their program, so everyone's transcript is quite unique. You can construct a transcript for yourself based on the electives that you choose to really prepare you, if you have some particular career path in mind, choose the courses that are going to make you the most competitive within that. So some students choose to add more courses within their own major, others would choose to add foreign languages or other courses outside of their major. That's always a possibility as well. The idea being in the end that you have a great deal of flexibility in creating and customizing. It's not a lockstep program as are some of the other programs that you would find here in Singapore. And we are very proud of our program for some of the reasons listed out here today. The degree that you earn here in Singapore is exactly the same as the degree you would earn in Buffalo, New York. Everything is the same in terms of the admission standards, the curriculum, the same syllabi are used, the same textbooks, the same methods of instruction. The graduation requirements are the same depending on the major. They all have their own specific graduation requirements, university level graduation requirements, exactly the same. And lastly, the credentials that one receives. One receives a transcript from the University of Buffalo. It is a University of Buffalo transcript that makes no mention of Singapore or SIM. We are delighted to have our program in Singapore and partner with SIM, but it is strictly speaking a University at Buffalo program, and the students are bona fide University at Buffalo students who receive an actual University at Buffalo degree. We're concerned, of course, naturally, about the quality of our program here. So I'm the resident director, that's RD. We have an ARD, assistant resident director. Me and Ms. Katie stay in Singapore year-round in order to oversee our program and ensure that the quality is maintained at a level at least as high as, and in some cases beyond, what we have at our home campus in Buffalo, New York. We have coordinators for each of the academic department who help us to oversee the curriculum, incorporate any updates in the syllabi, things of that nature. And we are also accredited here in Singapore by CPE, the Committee for Private Education. So as you can see from all of this, there are a lot of people keeping an eye on our program and making sure that it is very robustly accredited and very well run. We also have 2 full-time academic advisors who can help students if any questions arise about their course selection, graduation requirements, and so on. Over half of the courses are taught by faculty who come from the home campus in Buffalo, New York to teach the entire course here. They will teach a course from start to finish. In some programs, the instructors will just teach the first week or 2 and then go back to their home country, but ours are here for the entire duration of the semester to teach the course from start to finish. And our local faculty members have the same kind of academic credentials as our visiting faculty and are approved by the relevant departments. They would be able to teach as adjuncts at the home campus based on their educational credentials and qualifications. And lastly, I'll go into more detail in a minute, but it's substantially less expensive to study here in Singapore than it is in the United States. So this is what we offer here in Singapore. We have the following programs: Bachelor of Arts. You can choose from these 4 different majors: communication, economics, international trade, psychology, or sociology. Sorry, that's actually 1, 2, 3, 5 different Bachelor of Arts degrees, not 4. And we have 2 Bachelor of Science degrees: Bachelor of Science in Business Administration and Bachelor of Science in Geographic Information Science. Within business, students can choose to just take a general business degree, or they can select some of the upper level courses in one of these 4 different concentrations: financial analysis, international business, marketing, or operations and supply chain management. It's a very nice feature of our program that students can combine any 2 of these majors together. So you can combine 2 majors to form a double major. That would mean you combine either 2 Bachelor of Arts or the 2 Bachelor of Science, according to your own interests. Just as an example, communication and psychology, or sociology and economics, any combination that's of interest to you, you can do that. And you can also get a double degree, which means you combine one of the Bachelor of Science programs with one of the Bachelor of Arts programs. So Bachelor of Business Administration, for example, can be combined with anything such as communication or economics, whatever. So that adds a great deal of flexibility for all of the various combinations that can be put together amongst our programs. Our newest program actually is GIS, Geographic Information Science, which we launched in fall of 2019. We launched this before the pandemic started, and I would just say, we didn't plan it this way, but this degree program has become super relevant now because there are so many things that GIS is used for in, say, tracking the spread of diseases, in the kind of the retail and delivery operations that have been built up as a result of people staying at home and having things delivered. There are just so many things where GIS is now actually all around us and being used for so many different things. That was true before the pandemic, but it is even more true now, I think, since it has changed the lifestyle and livelihood and so on of so many people across the globe. So I think this will be a very, very wonderful program to pursue for people here in Singapore as this field continues to develop. For admission requirements, if you are from Singapore, you should have one of these requirements: a A-level qualification, a diploma from one of the polys. We also accept the SIM diploma, and International Baccalaureate has become more popular as well in recent years. For students from overseas, not from Singapore, they just need anything that is a equivalent of a high school diploma to be eligible to enter into the University at Buffalo. Admissions requirements are shown here. So for Singaporeans, it's merely a matter of getting a C or better on O level in English. But for people who are not native speakers of English from other countries, they would need to take TOEFL or IELTS or one of the other English tests that are shown here. Course fees are a tremendous bargain, really. They may seem expensive by Singapore standards, but I can tell you that this is a huge value when you compare it to the cost of an American degree that you would pursue in the United States. So it's $577 per credit, and you would pay as you go, depending on the number of credits that you take in a given semester. That would determine your course fee for that one semester. Typically, students take somewhere between 12 to 15 credits per semester. And to get 120 credits for the degree, that's the minimal requirement, it would cost about 70,000, a little under 70,000 Singapore dollars. As I say, this is a tremendous value when compared to the cost at the home campus. And I'll talk about that in more detail in a moment, but these are just some of the wonderful selling points of our program now. You can save time, money. You have the opportunity as well as bona fide UB students to study at the home campus if you choose to. Great networking opportunities, and best of all, really excellent learning outcomes. So the programs that we offer are accelerated. At the home campus, typically it takes students 4 years to graduate with a bachelor's degree. We offer instruction year-round here. So we have a full summer semester, fall, spring, and summer semesters, 3 semesters per year, which means that students can complete the program within 3 years for a single major. If you're doing a double degree, it likely will take a bit longer to fill all of the requirements, but it's still faster than it would take at the home campus. Every one of the requirements that you need to graduate with a bachelor's degree from University at Buffalo is offered here at our Singapore campus. So it is totally self-contained. You do not have to leave Singapore. You can do everything here. And if you want to, you can go to the home campus. Let's say more on that in a moment as well. But this just shows a bit of a comparison of what it would cost. If you were studying at the home campus in Buffalo, New York, the tuition and fees and housing, all of the costs for meals, transportation is estimated to be over 46,000 US dollars per year. If you spend 4 years studying for that degree, it comes up to the equivalent of almost $250,000 Singapore dollars, very expensive. So if you do the degree here in Singapore, as I say, even with 120 credits, it would cost less than 70,000 Singapore dollars for the course fees. Now, that does not include housing, it does not include food, it does not include the transportation to and from campus, so you need to factor that in as well. But as you can see, no matter how you slice it, it's a great savings to do the program here in Singapore. You would have to eat a tremendous amount of expensive food to match what it costs to study in the United States, and it's almost impossible to imagine such a thing. So if you are a Singapore student coming in with some sort of credential, whether a diploma from a poly, IB, A-levels, you are going to receive some package of transfer credits or waivers to join our program. And this chart shows what you will receive. So if you were just to look up here and see if you're a Polytechnic diploma holder, for a single degree, this is what you would need to earn at Buffalo. As much as 50% of your courses could be waived for having a diploma from a poly here in Singapore to earn the University of Buffalo degree. And depending on the other qualifications, the numbers are shown here as well. But as you can see, if you were one of those people coming from a poly, having 50% of your courses waived, your course fees for Singapore are already cut in half. So again, a very, very substantial savings for our Singapore students who have these credentials coming into the program at the point of admission. As I mentioned, our program is fully self-contained here in Singapore, but we do offer the opportunity for students who are keen to study at the home campus in Buffalo, New York. We call this UB Bound, and that is what my assistant resident director, Ms. Katie works on. That's her job, is to handle this program and facilitate the transfer of students from here in Singapore to the home campus. It's quite simple. You are already a University at Buffalo student, so all you need to do is first complete your admission to the major requirements, your foundation courses here in Singapore with a GPA of 2.0 or better. That means you're in good academic standing, and you are therefore eligible to go to the United States on a student visa. So you need to apply for a student visa to go. You also have to show that you are financially, you have the wherewithal financially to go, and that is expensive. So the costs are shown here. For a semester in Buffalo would be between 23 and about 24,000. It's slightly higher for business administration students than for other students. But it's a great experience. Let me say that. It is a wonderful, wonderful experience for students. And if they spend 2 semesters, many students go for 1 semester, some go for 2 semesters. Students who stay for 2 semesters in Buffalo are therefore eligible for optional practical training, meaning that allows them to stay on in the United States after graduating to look for work or an internship for a year. It's a year-long extension of the visa to stay in the United States after graduation with the eligibility to work. And the SIMUB scholarship is offered every spring and fall semester to send one merit-based, highly deserving student over to our home campus. We will pay the airfare, we will pay the course fees, we will pay housing. So it's a very generous package for one of our students to go over and experience the home campus at our expense, to function sort of as a representative of our program at the home campus in Buffalo. After graduating, we have an excellent and very active Alumni Association here in Singapore. It's a great opportunity for networking. They host many events. They've been doing many virtual events during the pandemic in the last few months. Our students have been finding great jobs. Almost 3/4 of them have been finding jobs within 6 months of graduation, according to the survey that we conduct after students have finished school and gone off to look for work. And many others are finding wonderful opportunities to pursue postgraduate degrees at fine universities in the United States, in the UK, Australia, here in Singapore as well, that are at the National University. So many wonderful opportunities after graduation as well. And the curriculum, as I mentioned, is oriented towards students doing a lot beyond just studying the content area. They are expected to do many presentations, participate in discussions in class, lots of different kinds of projects, simulations of various kinds. So they come out with these attributes, and it's really, I think, an incredibly powerful curriculum for producing extremely impressive, well-qualified graduates who can do anything. They're wonderful kids, and they wind up getting great jobs after finishing our program. So good communication skills, public speaking, they get a lot of practice doing presentations. You have to be pretty good at time management because it's a demanding program. We encourage our students, of course, to think critically and solve problems, and to build up during the time that they are in our program a great deal of self-confidence. It's really just wonderful to see when they graduate how confident they are in themselves and their abilities that they have built up over the course of their time within the UB program. So if you're keen to apply, these are the deadlines coming up. We have a summer semester, which is starting in May 31st, and you have a few more days until March 16th to submit your application for that. We are already accepting applications for the fall semester, which starts in August 30th, and the deadline for that one will be June 8th. You need to apply to only one program. So any of the programs, you can apply to business or psychology or sociology. You can change your mind later on, but you only need to apply to one program to be admitted into the university. Don't submit 2 applications or 3 applications. And here's information about where you can contact our staff if any questions arise later on. And finally, here is Firdaus, our alumnus from the class of 2020, Sociology, and I am very, very happy to welcome him here today to represent our program. Just give me one moment while I stop sharing my screen, and then we can shift over to, okay. So good afternoon, Firdaus.
Yeah, good afternoon, sir.
Nice
Yeah,
to see you today. How are you?
yeah, I'm doing really fine. Thank you, Dr. McKelvey, for that wonderful briefing. Just brought back memories on, I think it was late 2017 when I actually went for the open house as well.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah,
And you were so impressed, you decided to apply and you joined, and the rest is history, right?
I was actually sold by the research and the information that UB actually offered on the internet. So I already wanted to join even before the open house. So I just joined into
Well,
like.
that's great to hear. So yes, and I remember you as a
Hmm.
freshman, meeting you way back then. It seems like it was not that long ago, but so now you have graduated from sociology. Why don't you just tell us a little bit about yourself? You were class of, you graduated from sociology and you're now working for the Singapore Police Department.
Yes, sir. Yeah. I'm currently an inspector in the Singapore Police Force. So previously, I think I graduated in 2020.
Hmm.
So like you mentioned, most of the UB graduates, most would actually be given the opportunity to get a job within 6 months. So for myself, I started off as a youth guidance officer at MSF, and then slowly, I think after a few months, I got enlisted in the Singapore Police Force. Yeah.
Very good. Okay. So I have some questions for you, and
Hmm.
if you could just share with us. So I think you've already said a few words about this, but why did you choose SIMUB, and specifically, why did you choose your major of sociology?
Right. Okay. That's a very interesting question because every time people ask me why sociology, like, is that similar to psychology? So firstly, I'll answer the question to why SMUB. Um, Actually, before joining SMUB, I already made a research, like I said before. I wanted to join the Singapore Police Force, and it was, as you mentioned, accredited by the Singapore government, the Community of Private Education. So it was one of those institutes that actually allowed me to basically give me a second chance in the sense of getting my tertiary education and also applying for a government agency. Um, Whereas for sociology, I felt that sociology had a real world applications, and the subject matters that's being discussed in sociology is very interesting. Yeah, so that's why I took sociology.
Yeah, and it is not the same as psychology, by the way.
Definitely. Yeah, definitely not.
Psychology really studies the individual, whereas sociology looks at the bigger picture.
Yeah,
There
right,
may be some overlapping theories and this and that,
right.
but yeah, if you wanted to learn about society in general and how it operates, and I should add, that it's a very popular program for our students here in Singapore, and the sociologists from our home campus love to come to Singapore because Singapore is such an interesting society.
Right.
And, if you were to travel around the world looking at examples of societies that are functional, dysfunctional, haphazard, or organized, and, Singapore is always, put in the category of a very well, well engineered society.
Hmm.
And quite purposeful in the way that things are done here, which makes it a great place to live and work. So my friend Katie, my assistant resident director, and I have been here for so long, and we really love it as a place to live. But definitely a very interesting place from a sociological standpoint as well.
Hmm.
Let's say, what sort of waivers or transfer credits did you receive? You previously did your diploma in space and interior design from Nanyang Poly. So
Right, right,
what kind of package did you get us on entering our program?
right. So to be frank with everyone here, I really cannot remember how much waiver I got, but it was a substantial amount. So my peers who were not in poly actually did 3 years, as mentioned in the briefing just now. I
Mhm.
think I did mine in 2.5 years. Yeah, so it's actually quite a substantial amount, and of course, financial wise, it helped my parents and myself. So yeah, I can't really remember how much, but yeah.
Yeah, but in any case, and it's, I should say for our audience, in case people are wondering, that it's a very individualistic process. Firdaus has a poly diploma in a subject area which is not quite the same as the one he's going into, but we have a staff of people at the home campus. They do what's called articulation. They're extremely familiar with the Singapore education system. We get so many Singaporeans at our home campus as well. So they know every poly backwards and forwards, and they will match up the courses that you have taken, or give some sort of blanket excuse for the gen ed classes and so on. But they'll come up with the most advantageous allocation of credits based on whatever your previous study consisted of. So, and everybody will get something. So that's nice. Can you tell us what the assessment methods were like, just in general, in your courses, and then specifically for some of your sociology courses?
I think the assessment methods were like, apart from the obvious research papers and the group presentation, I think we did a lot of projects, and I really enjoyed those projects. For one, I think I remember there's this one, Sociology of Diversity, where we were tasked to actually walk on selected routes in Singapore. So Singapore being a very multicultural country, we actually get to observe the different cultures coexisting in this multiracial Singapore. And because we are actually doing our tertiary education, and given the theories that that was taught by our professors, it kind of gave you a new perspective to look at, rather than just walking around in Singapore with your friends, but instead you actually you are more critical in the different areas in Singapore, and it actually kind of develops your critical thinking. So it's not just research paper based. So I can assure you guys that it's a very holistic approach. Yeah.
Yeah, and in fact, sociology, I mean, one of the major characteristics is that the power of observation. That's what sociologists do. They go into situations and they analyze them by looking at them and studying them carefully. And so it's a great, Singapore really is a great place for that on so many different levels. There are so many things that you could observe and learn from here in Singapore. And as I mentioned, our sociology faculty are very, very keen to come here for that very reason. What were some of the projects or experiential learning things? Maybe you could just tell us about some of the projects in a bit more detail that you did for some of your sociology courses.
Right. Let me think of one very interesting one. Hopefully nobody actually heard of this, but we did a project for sociology of popular culture. So we did a project on bronies. So bronies are actually a fandom of mostly male fans who enjoy watching cartoons, My Little Pony. So right. So just by saying those words, people might actually there's a lot of backlash because it kind of go against the societal perception of masculinity. So because of that, we actually decided to interview and really studied why this the fandom actually are interested in My Little Ponies, and it's actually just another show that you can actually just compare with any other shows that people watch. So it's just how the societal perception of masculinity is, and it actually gave kind of shed a new light on the societal issues in Singapore.
Yeah. Yeah, and I would say just across the board in all of the sociology classes, you could probably find something. The urban sociology courses, the criminology courses, all of that, there's something that you could seek out in Singapore to be able to experience and study close up and in person. Okay, so how about, you were also a member of our wonderful University of Buffalo Student Council, which has been operating ever since we launched our program in 2004. And every year they do such a wonderful job for us. We're very, very proud of that. Tell us about your own experience. You were director of events, and how did that help to enhance your undergraduate education?
I think as I actually joined the student council in the first semester itself. So my experience was actually very, the UB community was very welcoming. and it actually enhanced my UB experience even more to actually help the UB community, the student body, and planning events such as the freshman orientation camp. I understand, unfortunately, we can't have those right now, but hopefully everything subsides. We can have those freshman orientation camps, the annual dinner and dance. So my experience as a director of events for UBSC was actually amazing. Being able to liaise with the school staff, with yourself. Um, was blessed with a great partner, fantastic team. Basically, the UB community actually just, it was a very vibrant culture where it was a sharing culture, and then we asked them what they want, and then we actually delivered through whatever means that we have. So I think at the end of the day, it's all about fostering a close-knit environment in the UB community. So it actually enhanced my undergraduate experience.
Yeah, and I would just say in general, we from University at Buffalo believe that undergraduate education should consist of far more than just what you learn in the classroom. And so we partner with SIM largely because it does afford our students things that we couldn't do if we just brought professors over and offered the curriculum alone. That would be sort of a sad version of a real, genuine undergraduate education. So there is the UB Student Council, and they do an enormous number of things, publications and events and so on, all kinds of things, the orientations and freshman camps. But beyond that, there are so many other things that students can join at SIM. SIM has clubs in the arts, in sports, in special interests, academic, and so on. So I would really just encourage all students to get involved in things outside of the classroom as well, because it really is a very enriching part of the whole undergraduate experience. And I'm very, very happy to say that people can have those rich experiences just as well here in Singapore as they would be able to do at our home campus. Okay, so thank you. Tell us about how you found your job after graduating.
Right. So I was someone who wanted to join the public service. So I went straight to career at Gov. Um, so I was kind of fortunate because I actually got the job in MSF, the Youth Guidance Officer job, through an alumni from UB itself, Mr. Eddie. So from there, I actually did a few months serving MSF until, yeah, the Singapore Police Force actually called me for enlistment. So, but I would say that for me, I actually wanted a more public, public sector. But I do have friends who are in the private sector line, and most of them actually have they go through the traineeship that the Singapore government is actually offering, and also I think SIM also offers this platform for internship. So I think finding jobs is not one of the hardest things that you can actually like, or in fact you should worry about. Yeah.
Uh, I think that there are a lot of people who are worried, of course, now because we're in a pandemic and the economy has suffered and so on. But definitely there is a tremendous amount of support at
Yeah.
SIM.
Right.
So SIM has what's called Career Connect, and that's
Right.
their in-house career development office. So they have connections with companies throughout Singapore and the region for internships, job opportunities. They also help students with things like preparing resumes, practice interviews, dressing appropriately if you're going to go out for an interview and things of that nature. So there is a lot of support. But here's another question for you, Firdaus, because I don't know if people even realize, but we really are very much focused on building up the kinds of skills and attitudes and behaviors and so on that will make you employable and desirable, that people would want to hire you when you walk into the room, say, this is an impressive guy, let's hire him. And so maybe if you could just reflect back on us, what do you remember about your UB degree program that helped you get to where you are today in your current job?
Right. So apart from just GPAs, I think at the end of the day, what really matters is the skills that you forge as you pursue your tertiary education, and the values that you pick up along the way are definitely more important than the value of a GPA. So one really good attribute would be the soft skills that you actually picked up while engage communicating with your peers while actually doing the school projects, and also basically just soft skills. Because at the end of the day, interviewers will always ask to look at your soft skills and how you can actually work with the people around you. Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I think so. Of course, every employer is different and every organization has its own culture, but I don't know any place where they would want to hire somebody who's incapable of communicating. That would that would not be helpful for their success as an organization. So yeah, the soft skills I think are really, really, really important. And not to say that the academic content is unimportant, but don't neglect all of the other things as well
Right.
that and build up
Of
through
course.
practice and through participation and joining things outside of the classroom as well. How would you describe the SIMUB culture?
Mm. From the top of my head, I think the word is vibrant and inclusive. So from the get-go, I think freshmen can actually expect the seniors to actually just come in and actually welcome you guys. So there's nothing much to worry about on how do I get to this class, or where do I go to SM Connect, or stuff like that. There will always be a senior that you can actually ask, and I believe the student council actually does an amazing job in facilitating all this. So I think the UB student culture is a very inclusive culture, and I was very, very, very much blessed to be in SMUB. Yes.
Thank you. Yeah, we love our student culture here. It's such a strong sense of community. And if I'll just digress a little bit here because I know some people in the audience may be wondering about the format of our classes. When Firdaus was a student, that was before the pandemic, and all of our courses were face to face. So it's often come up in more recent times, are our courses face to face or online? And right now, what we are doing is a combination. So we follow the guidelines that are given to us by the Ministry of Education here in Singapore. And that means that any really huge class, a class with 150 or 200 students, would uh, be required to be in a online format, but we are offering a substantial number of our smaller classes face to face on campus. So what students are experiencing now is this kind of hybrid. We do hope now that people are getting vaccinated, it does appear, that there is cause for some optimism. Um, the pandemic is slowly being brought under control in most places, not everywhere, but Singapore certainly has done a world-class job of doing this. So we're hoping to get back to a fully normal face-to-face curriculum before too long. But let's see. So my last question for Firdaus would be: do you have any advice at all for incoming freshmen who would be joining the UB program?
I think an advice that I would give them would be the same advice that my seniors actually gave me. UB will actually provide you with the tools to learn, grow, and basically succeed. But it's actually up to you to use them. And most most of the time, it's the positive attitude towards learning and growing is the one that matters. And don't be afraid to seek knowledge outside of the classroom and lectures, because sometimes you just need the outside experience more than just the classroom experience. And I think two values that I think I find very important personally would be initiative and attitude. So I think you guys are all soon to be um going into the tertiary education, and I believe you guys do have this kind of values, and you guys will do great.
Good, wonderful advice. Thank you. So that's the end of our formal set of questions for Firdaus. Maybe we would be very happy to welcome any questions at all that we have from the audience. And I know that we have our chat room operating here. I don't see anything in the chat at the moment. Uh, People are certainly welcome as well. If you are comfortable, please turn on your camera or your microphone. You could just address us with any questions that you have. We would be delighted to see people and answer them here live, or you can put them in the chat and hopefully our chat masters will be able to convey them to us if there's anything that they feel is worthy of us addressing. I guess we don't have any questions this afternoon, so I guess for now we did a great job of explaining the program. Thank you so much for sharing everything that you have shared about your experience, and thank you for spending your time on a Saturday afternoon with us today. Good luck with your police job, and take care. Thank you everyone in the audience for joining today. We hope you enjoy the rest of the SIM virtual open house, and please by all means reach out to our staff and at SIM if you have any further questions, and hope to see at least some of you applying to and joining UB in the coming semesters. Thank you. Bye-bye.